speech is the ultimate learning experience. Don Florian has had an interesting life with experiences that were life-changing. He reflects on an inspirational speaker he had the honor of hearing recently. The speaker was so moving, he made Don examine his own life experiences. He offers comparisons between the speaker and himself and points out the miraculous result for both that can only be explained by the power greater than him. He challenges you to evaluate your own life and realize the similarities in this speech with your life. The speech is from the Advanced Communicator Manual, Specialty Speeches, number 2, Uplift the Spirit. The time is 8 to 10 minutes. Please help me welcome Don to the lectern and put your hands together. Thank you.
Imagine this. One day you have a full, energetic life, full of life. The next day, a life-changing event takes place and you lose all those freedoms. What would you do? Fellow Toastmasters. Recently I met an inspirational speaker, Chris Skinner. He used to be a very energetic, capable, and athletic young man of 20 years old. Now he's a paraplegic from a severe car accident. How did he carry on his life? I'll tell you. Chris grew up in a spiritual environment, but he had identity and substance abuse issues. He was always out there, he was always the life of the party. He was always the first to want to be in the party. And he was pretty much carefree all the time. Didn't worry about the future. Didn't worry about his grades. So any kind of problem, any kind of accident was the farthest thing from his mind. So a friend of his and Chris were driving to another party in the friend's truck. The friend drove it into a ditch, totaled the car out. The friend got up and walked away. Chris was thrown from the vehicle. Before passing out, he realized he didn't have a seatbelt on. He realized that he couldn't move his arms or legs. And then he passed out. And he woke up 13 days later in the hospital. When he finally came to, he realized that his arms and legs were never going to be back again because he had broken his back. He describes the painful process that he went through, physically and emotionally, to get through and to become a viable human again. Because in the beginning he didn't feel like one. He felt like an object of pity and an object of scorn. And really had to change his attitude and change his life towards life in general. And miraculously he succeeded. He had this spirit that he didn't even know he had inside of him. He became guest speaker. He became an inspirational speaker. He wrote a book, The Ultimate Learning Experience. He goes out on speaking tours now, and he's a real inspiration to everybody that hears him. When hearing this speech, I was floored by his resiliency. And I began to realize that we had some similarity in our lives. I had my first drink at age 15, and I drank out of control and drank alcoholically right from the start. talking about driving incidents. I had several of them. I drove drunk all the time. Not proud of this, but I hit and ran a pedestrian one time. Another time, not too far in the future from that, I drove around the corner in a blackout and drove the car into a building. Totaled the car out, walked away with a broken nose. This kind of woke me up to the fact that I just couldn't drink out of control. So I kind of curtailed it for a little while, but not for long. And one particular morning, a few years later, I was drinking all morning at a bar that I just opened up. I fell asleep in the car, woke up, drove around towards the house, sideswiped a parked car, left the scene, and got arrested for leaving the scene and driving while impaired. Lost my license for a while. I was really taken aback by all this. I realized that I just couldn't drink out of control. So I went to the bar and I talked to my friends about it. And they said, well, don't worry about it, Don. It could have happened to anybody. Look at that guy down the bar, at the end of the bar. Same thing happened to him. It was bad luck that that parked car was there. So I said, yeah, you're right. There's nothing wrong with me. It was just bad luck. So just from hanging out with my peers, I got talked out of any kind of issue. So I continued drinking destructively, and I was really on a path of destruction. At age 24, I found Alcoholics Anonymous. AA is a fellowship of people that share their experience, strength, and hope with each other, that they can stop drinking and help others. For some reason, I became teachable and I became willing to listen. Whereas before, I was not that way at all. You couldn't tell me anything because I thought I had all the answers, just like Chris did when he was the night of his accident. So miraculously, I got sober and I stayed sober, and I'm still sober today. I know it was very miraculous for me to turn my life around, and I don't take much credit for that, because I know it was my higher power that gave me the willingness and the ability to accept my situation. And I'm still sober today, and I've had a terrific lifestyle. I've had a good job, and a lot of terrific things have happened to me. A few years after I got sober, I was diagnosed with MS and multiple sclerosis. And it was another shocking issue that I had to take care of. At the time, I wasn't too bad as far as physical symptoms, and everything kind of subsided for a while. And I went into denial that I had the problem at all. So I did tell very many people about my situation until it got a little bit worse, and then I had to tell them about my disability. And that was a hard thing for me to do, but I was able to do it. I realized that it could have been a lot worse, because I've seen a lot of people and heard a lot of people with MS that really suffered and are really debilitated. Whereas, in my case, it's just some slight problems here and there. So the parallels between Chris and me, I realized from thinking about it. Chris's problem happened all of a sudden, unexpectedly, whereas mine was a gradual downhill spiral, I guess you would say. Chris was influenced by outside influences, like his mentor that he met in the rehab hospital. Told him a lot of good things about higher power, and living a day at a time. I was following the collective wisdom of AA. And learn to talk to serenity prayer. God grant me the serenity to accept things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know difference. In 2010, I joined Toastmasters, my work of location in New Jersey. And there I got a lot more confidence and a lot more capability to talk about my feelings. It was something that I really held on to. When I moved here to Leland, I transferred to Wilmington Toastmasters, and that's been a terrific experience as well. So finally, I'd like to inspire you to think about your own lives, what's happened, what's transpired, the gratitude you have in your life, some of the crossroads that you took. You had to choose one way or the other, and which way you chose, and how did it turn out? And what else can we say to inspire ourselves? These are some ways we can realize the ultimate learning experience.